Welcome back, Sky Squad. We are back in the building with another original by Bravo TV, Gaslight, a prequel by Mark Daly. Let me tell you something. When they flashed this on the screen, I said, "Ooh, that Mark Daly is not gonna like this." You know, when Mark Daly had left the scene, he exited the screen saying that he would never appear on the show again. You will never see me on the show again. But when you sign that contract, that means that they got the right to use your image from when you did appear on the screen in perpetuity, usually, or forever and evermore, henceforth and forevermore. And we are reminded of such because Kenya says that Drew's husband, Ralph, reminds her very much so of Mark. So now we have the original, the prequel to the hit movie Gaslight. The second edition is by Ralph Pittman, but the prequel was by Mark Daly, baby. Let me tell you something. I was rolling last night when they showed this. I said, you know what? Production, bravo, bravo, bravo. Literally. Okay. Now, if you guys are in the chatterization, we are going to be talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 14, episode 4. Okay. Now, if you are in the chatterization, okay, go ahead and let me know where you guys are watching from because as you guys know, we are a tad bit nosy. And this is a family show. We a family up in this thing. When you step into this chatterization, you stepping into the family room and we're going to have some family grown folk conversation. So be prepared, okay? Because I got a lot to say. I got a lot to talk about. And again, some of this is going to be for grown folks' ears. And if you don't feel like you're grown enough to have these conversations, I'm going to need you to, I was going to say exit, but go ahead and watch the video anyway. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Anyway, we got Kansas City in the building, Knoxville, Connecticut. I see you was in the building. Hey. Listen, yes. Go charge that phone right this instance, baby, because we got a lot to talk about. Louisiana. Who else is up in here? Who else is in the building? Come on now. Cleveland, Ohio. I see you. Hey, Birmingham. The ATL. We got Louisville, Kentucky. Hey, Philly in the building, San Antonio, NYC. I will be in NYC actually next week. I got a little surprise for y'all. Okay. Huntsville family here, Brooklyn in the building, Switzerland. Ow, Switzerland. Come on through, baby. We got Europe in the house. Long Beach, Columbus, Alabama, Little Rock, Indianapolis, Hollywood, Florida, Montgomery, Alabama, Lakeland, Florida, Georgia in the building, St. Louis, Chicago, Cuba. Come on, Cuba. Come on, North Carolina. I see you, Cleveland, Houston. We got a lot to talk about. Okay, we got a lot to talk about. Let's give them something to talk about. All right, so listen. First things first, we're gonna rate the episode, and I want to know what you guys think. We're gonna rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, you guys may know if you saw me in the Jasmine brand last night when we recapped the episode. We've been doing this little Real Housewives of Atlanta after party, to celebrate the show being back on and to, give our thoughts on the topics. And then, as of course, I will always come back over here and, give you guys the recap as well, because sometimes I have a little bit extra time to think about some things and mull over some things. And I thought about some things last night. Now, I think either last night I rated the episode a 7 or 8. I'm gonna be, how I'm I'm a little lenient. Okay. I'm a softie at heart because I'm a Cancer. That's how I do. And so I'm gonna give the episode I'm gonna give it okay, it's between a 7.5 and an 8. Okay. And oh, that's interesting. So ooh, 5. Come on now. This to me was one of those episodes where I would say it's a traditional Housewives episode. There was nothing that happened that was like groundbreaking per se, like no major blowouts, but the mini blowouts were intense. And we got a lot of good information last night. And sometimes The devil is in the details and not the explosions. Okay, so remember that. And so that's why I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8, because there were some things of interest to me, and I want to know if these things were of interest to you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get down into this Ponderosa. Marlo is it's called Big Apple Squabbles because the ladies are heading on their first cash trip of the season to the New York City to see Kandi's play Thoughts of a Colored Man. Okay, that's the name of it, right? Did I say that right? I wanted to see it, but I ain't seen it yet. Is it still out? Anyway, Marlo is visiting her new lot in Decatur, Georgia. And I gotta say this. Production, you don't have to tell us where the ladies live. I don't need to know that she lives in Decatur. And the reason why I say that is because I kind of feel like although it gave context to the conversation, the only thing that we really needed to know was that for the rest of the ladies, it felt like it was far out from where she was normally accustomed to being. The reason I also say I don't necessarily need location is for safety purposes as well. For me, I kind of just feel like, knowing just the state of the world that we live in today, I would prefer to not necessarily even know the exact location of where they live, and nor would I think they want people to know the exact location of where they live, because I just think it could be too many telltale signs, and it's just an invitation for, I don't know, sometimes unsavory characters like to be, lurking about and doing things. And just the world we live in today, I would prefer not to even give it's somewhere in Georgia. Okay, that's all you need to say. And that's what I would say about that. Okay, that I had that thought in my head. Now she shades the baby builders, Sheree and Kenya, but she shades how long it took them to get to build their own houses. But she says, you know what? I want to learn from their successes and not their long-term failures. Okay. So the ladies arrive, they review the plans for the house, and apparently the closets, and I say closets because it's 3 of the closets, are bigger than the bedroom, because Marlo says, I'm just trying to sleep in the bedroom, but I'm living in my closets. Okay. The closet is the place where Marlo comes to life. It breathes life into her veins for her to be in her closet, and for the closets to be big enough for her to wallow around in and roll around in the clothes and just try them on and just fall out. Okay. And so, I'm more of a fan of an equal sized bedroom and a equally big closet. Okay, I give me all of that. I like all of that type of carrying on. I want to have to get out of bed to get the remote. Okay, and it's as annoying as that is. Okay, but I want us to be able to lay back in the bed and look at the big screen TV in the bedroom as big as the wall. That's how I want the bedroom to be. Okay, if I'm having a house that's custom built. Okay, yes, give me a big closet. Actually, you might want to give me 2 closets, because I think it's, I don't really want. I have a lot of stuff. Okay, and so I need all that space for myself. But she got 3 closets in hers, so she got Marlo got the whole archive, the eBay, and so you know Kenya is testing the contractor's knowledge, and she likes what she hears. And Sheree can't believe that Marlo's moving so far. And they end up talking about a discussion about finances or money, and the ladies try to tell her, Kenya and Sheree try to tell Marlo, well, you're the one who always talking about you got all this money or whatever. And we get a flashback of Marlo, at the event talking about how she got the coin. They make them in your size when you got the coin. Okay, so as Kenya is trying to tell her she's always talking about money, Marlo is telling her she's full of shit. And I said this last night, and I'm going to say it again today. Marlo is getting rowdy in this moment, and I almost feel as though Kenya gave her a signal to pipe down a bit. Because Kenya was like, it ain't even got to be all that. And Marlo immediately backed off of that track, okay? And I think I could be wrong, and I could be making an assumption, but I think what is happening here is Kenya is trying to let her know when a moment should happen and when it should just be conversation. Okay, either that or Kenya was practicing restraint. Regardless, there is a consistent level of directness and honesty that Kenya is applying in this season. And I don't know if it's that I never noticed it before because there's usually been some conflict with her and another housewife directly, but she is literally, I feel like, at her most relaxed this season for some reason, and also her most direct and honest in this and not that she wasn't honest before, but it just feels different, and I cannot explain what it is, but maybe it's because she feels a little bit less on the defense. And I know that she has said she went into this season definitely not having any desire to take on a villain role, and I like it. It's because it feels very natural, and it feels like everything she's saying is stuff that she would actually say to the person, whether she says it in the confessional or whether she says it to their face. I felt like she let Marlo know that this wasn't the time to make a moment, and Marlo immediately apologizes and says she does love when Kenya gives her compliments, which I do believe. I do believe at her core, I think that Marlo wants to be friends with Kenya, but I think she also knows that she needs to make good television. And I think that maybe because she feels like there could be a level of conscious or subconscious belief that she has to make good on this notion that she's finally gotten a peach. I don't know. But I like Marlo when she is effortless because I feel like that is when she is at her best. Okay. Um, they talk about New York, and Kenya says she'll likely have the au pair. I'm assuming that's the nanny. If you know what an au pair is, please let me know in the chatterization down below, because I don't know what an au pair is, and that could just be a babysitter, a court appointed somebody. I don't know what that is, so let me know in the chat, and I will put it on the screen for those of us who don't know. But the baby will get a chance to see Mark, okay? So she don't have to. Now, the better question is, will Sheree see Tyrone while they're up there? So this answers a question. Okay, it's a French nanny. Thank you guys so much. An au pair. Ah, okay. Listen, we was Googling that thing last night, spelling it all wrong, getting it all wrong. But this is why I do these things, because y'all give me intel as well, and I like that. Okay, that's why I say these be family conversations, because I can get knowledge from y'all too. So I really like that. Okay. So anyway, we get this conversation from Sheree letting us know that apparently while they're up there, she will see Tyrone. Apparently, he has to put in a request with his PO, and he has to be in the house by 9 p.m. and he can only travel within a 100-mile radius. And apparently, from Philly to New York, it meets that 100-mile radius space. And he apparently wants to meet all the girls. So now we have an explanation about how the house arrest works, and I'm very thankful that we do have that explanation, because it gives me further context as to how it is possible that there would be an expectation that this man would be able to see her or meet her friends. Okay. We get a super chat from Shamar, who says, don't know why Marlo put Kenya in the mix, though. Kenya only took 6 months versus Sheree, who took the second half of the Obama administration. Not the second half of the Obama administration to build her house. Shamar. That's a good question. Maybe it was the baseboards that Sheree was commenting on. Maybe that's what she was referring more so to, the baseboards or the lack of baseboards. I don't really know, but not the second half of the Obama administration. Oh Lord, the Saints, the Saints. Okay, so then they talk about Drew and her issues with Ralph, and how she likes to deflect, and Marlo and Kenya both don't like how she came at Sheree. Okay. Over down to Kandi's mansion, she and Todd decide to take a walk around the neighborhood, and he recaps what's going on, and feeling like he doesn't have enough support for everything that he's doing. And she says, yeah, I feel that. And I can't tell if she's saying, yeah, I feel that. Like, I don't have that support either. Or, yeah, sorry for you, brother. But anyway, they talk about the play and the ticket sales, and how they have to a long way to go before they get out the red. And see, to me, I wants to see Kandi and her team talk about the play in detail and get more in depth in this, because this is a major thing for a cast member to be doing. And I don't feel like we get enough explanation of how all of it came to be and how they put it all together. They could do, if anybody from Candy Land or the Kandi team is watching, I need for y'all to put together a documentary, okay, on your Kandi Online, and show us the process of how one goes from producing a concept to production to getting butts in seats for a theater production on the Broadway. Now, you told us how on your YouTube page how you get a spinoff, but now we need to see how you get a Broadway production in rotation. That's what I would like to see, to be quite honest with you, because I'm curious and they didn't give me enough detail for my satisfaction. Okay. We got a super chat here from JMW who says, I really like Todd. He be speaking the truth. I like Todd too. I mean, Todd, listen, he and Kandi have a no BS relationship where they don't BS each other, and it is very interesting to watch. Okay. So she wants Todd to invite Ralph and the men, okay? And Todd wants to visit his condo in Jersey, and Candy's like, "Oh God, this not this condo, okay?" She thinks it's whack, and she can't get over the fact that it was something that he built or did with an ex. And Todd feels like everything is always about Kandi and what she wants, and he feels like he wants her to feel like it's their place. And so she asked, well, where's my key then? And again, I'm going to put it to y'all in this type of perspective. To be honest with you, I just feel like this is a non-starter for me, because I am definitely on Todd's side in this situation. And if I could ask Kandi, I would be like, girl, why do you care about this apartment so bad, this condo? Who cares? Now, if you don't want to stay there when y'all traveling to New York City, because face it, to be honest with you, this is no shade to New Jersey, but when I'm visiting the New York City, I'm staying in one of the boroughs. I'm not going all the way across the bridge to go to Jersey, okay? Now, when I want to go to Jersey, I'm going to go to Jersey, but not when I want to go to New York. That's just what it is, okay? It ain't no shame, it ain't no offense, and nothing like that. So I did agree with her on that part, but the fact that he built this he had this with an ex, and then when you get to the place, ain't no furniture in the bed, ain't no bed up in there. It ain't like the bed that he slept on her with is still there or nothing like that, still there and still wet or nothing like that. And like I said, we having family conversations, so don't judge me right now. But what I'm saying to you is, I just feel like, girl, let the mouse go. It ain't all that. Redo this apartment, put that thing on the Verbo or the Airbnb or whatever you call it, and get a property manager and make some money off of this thing and keep it moving. Over at Drew's house with about 15 assistants, you got one assistant running to and fro, Anthony hiding from the camera, but he's supposed to be on probation. The producers asked, what does probation mean and in this house? And it basically means nothing, okay? Because really the man is still running around there, with the allegation that he done told Sheree that the Ralph is allegedly gay, which none of us really have any faith in that rumor at all. Okay. And I like the fact that even when it was addressed, that he didn't even feel the need to really address it. I actually like that now that I think about it, when he did the speak on it with the men, because it's kind of like, why do I even need to address that? Because honestly, truthfully, it ain't nobody's business but the person that he's sleeping with. And so anyway, aside from that, I don't understand why she ain't asked Anthony nothing about this. But later on, she's gonna tell Sheree that Sheree has no proof of any of this, but proof we will see, or at least what Sheree considers proof. But anyway, Anthony is still running around there. The producers asked how probation's working. Apparently, because Ralph works in tech for a Fortune 500 companies, they just gave him a warning. That's why they got all these assistants. But I'm like, girl, what do you need the assistants for? I mean, I understand that you're probably doing the acting thing, and I understand that you probably need an assistant to help you with scheduling and stuff for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. But other than that, it doesn't really make any sense for me to believe that you guys have 4 assistants unless they are really direct employees of Ralph's. Okay. And if that's the case, then stop trying to label them assistants, because you're trying to make us think something that's not really true. You're not Sonia Morgan. I mean, and even she didn't need those assistants because she won't paying them folks. Okay. Bruce says, but why Todd name not on their house? They bought all them years ago. I would feel away if I was Todd. But see, that's why I said in my mind, I need more details on the Todd and Kandi situation, because it's definitely a lot more interesting than what's going on in this household with all these assistants. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. We learned they've been sleeping in different rooms and they about to have a therapy session. And they recapped the dinner where she was feeling like a queen and he was treating her like a queen. And Ralph feels like Drew doesn't respect him. And, you know, he goes on to say that he tried to give her steak and lobster, but what she really deserved was a Lunchable. And I was looking at him like, you treat your woman like a dog. You treat her like she's a dog that you need to train. And I don't really like that. I ain't like him saying that. I felt like it was a one-liner. Now I ain't gonna even lie about it. But it ain't a one-liner that you use on a wife that you love. That is some wild stuff right there for him to talk to her like that and for her to let him. She should have went. I mean, listen, I would have left the scene. I would have left the house, and he wouldn't have saw me again for the next week. And I would have been in Tampa. Okay. How you doing? Anyway, he says he feels like Drew doesn't respect him. And the therapist is siding with Ralph. He's like, girl, you need to just live in the moment. Okay. But he then tells her that they're basically just attacking each other. And then he gives them a therapeutic agreement. Okay. For 30 days, they can't argue with each other. If one person blows it, then they have to give the other person any and everything they want. And then he says that if Drew blows it, then Ralph can order her to give her the sex anytime he pleases. And I said to myself, now I thought in my mind, it felt like, now that don't feel like the right thing to say from a therapist. It didn't strike me, but it hit me when I had my conversation with the Jasmine Brandon. She was like, I didn't like that, because really what it implies is, because you notice the therapist didn't say to Drew, well, you know, if Ralph blow it, he got to give you the sex anytime you want it. And it almost made it seem like, yes, you know, if she gets a little rowdy and she gets out of control, then if she breaks the rules, and then you get to be the sex master, okay? She got to be your indentured servant and give you whatever you like on her knees. And it just don't sit well with me for a therapist to say something like that, because again, you wouldn't necessarily say that to the woman. So that just felt kind of strange to me, okay? And it felt really strange to me once Jasmine pointed it out last night, and I was like, oh yeah, you right about that. That don't really seem very therapeutic for a relationship. But anyway, they agree to it. He wants them to be extremely sensitive to each other's needs. And then the camera hones in on their hands. And in this scene, when the camera zooms in on Ralph's hand, we see that he got a ring on, okay? He got a ring on his hand. I want you guys to see it. Ralph has a ring on the finger when they zoom in, all right? Now, when they zoom in to Drew's hand, her hands are clasped like this, like so. So you can see one side and then you can see the other side. But what you don't see in this scene when they zoom in on her finger is that she does not have a ring on. But if you rewind the scene about about a minute beforehand, you will see Drew's hand clasped in her lap with a ring on. Now, what I'm trying to understand is, from a production standpoint, why is it that you zoomed in on the hands to show Ralph wearing his ring and her not wearing the ring? And then B, why in the world would she mid-therapy session, when they're trying to make up, suddenly take off her ring so that we could get a close-up shot of her not wearing the ring. See, production, I'm gonna need for you to be a little bit more crafty with how you are proposing that this scene has happened, because otherwise I am left as a viewer to assume that you stopped this scene and you at some point in time, and then you had it either refilmed or you said cut, we need you to take off your ring for this scene. Otherwise, I can't see me just in the middle of a therapy session while I'm with my partner trying to make things right, suddenly just in the middle of the session, taking off the ring and throwing it off to the side. Why would I do that? Okay. And y'all have got to know that we are some eagle-eyed fans and we're going to be paying attention, especially when you make it a moment. Okay. Simply Shamar says, I'm mad at Kandi and them two for not having the pool filled after being in that house for over 8 years. But then again, they don't have a generator at OLG. So what do I know? I don't have their coins. Listen, Kandi, get that generator. I mean, come on now. Because if the lights go out, oh, okay. JMW says Drew needs to leave him and his hair fusion. Get out of here, JMW. Get out of here. Santane, you have definitely got to go back and watch it. I would not have noticed it if they had not zoomed in on his hand, and let it linger. Then the shot zoomed in immediately on her hand and let it linger. And so what I noticed was I was like, they're trying to point out something to us. But then I rewound it and I saw she was wearing her ring not 2 minutes before the scene where they zoomed in on the hands. So we got to figure out what's going on here, okay? Black Beauty says, did you listen to Andy's show when he asked Kandi's daughter, will you live in the house? Todd, having Jersey in her face alone, said no. Todd has an older daughter. Kandi and daughter is very selfish. I didn't watch What Happens Live. I didn't see all of it. What I will say is that, I wouldn't blame Riley for not wanting to live in that condo, because it was something that Todd had with somebody else. In that sense, especially if her mom doesn't want anything to do with it, I don't understand. I don't think that I don't see Riley wanting to do that either. I mean, that's just kind of how I feel about it. But we're gonna get to whether or not Kandi is spoiled or not in just 1 second, because Kenya thinks that she is. Okay. Now, everyone is packing, and we see Safari and Patrick from Kandi and the Gang dressed half naked, delivering invitations or delivering bags of goodies. Now, in these bags of goodies, you will find vibrating lingerie, okay? And it's mandatory that they bring the lingerie to the trip, okay? Kenya would prefer to have a playbill from the play versus having these vibrating panties. And I said to myself, is this like a bit of maybe promotion for Bedroom Kandi, which I don't mind it? Or was it just her way of having fun, as she stated later? Or was it just, I don't know. The gift seemed totally unrelated to the trip. And the fact of the matter is, not all of the women were traveling on the trip with another man. So I don't necessarily know, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't want to be pleasurized, while you're on the bus or something. I don't know. But I'm gonna talk about my thoughts about it in just 1 second. Everybody is calling around about Kandi sending these half-naked people and these vibrating panties. And Sheree calls Kenya, and she can't understand what any of this has to do with the play. And Drew calls Marlo, and Marlo's like, I got plenty of lingerie here at the house. I do not need them. And I'm going to tell y'all the truth. Some of y'all are going to judge what I'm about to say. And I already know that I'm about to be judged. And I'm okay with it, because I feel like we are having family discussion and we are having grown folks discussion. And so now that we are in agreement with that, okay, now that you have all nodded in agreement and shook and touched and agreed, okay, I'm going to go ahead and say what I got to say. And it's going to be some very real talk right now. So, okay, so I want you to hear me out. Now, what I did not realize was that it was the ladies who were single, and as because Jasmine pointed this out to me, that seemed to have the most issue with the vibrating lingerie. But I challenge and I thought to myself, I was thinking about it this morning. Why was I thinking about it this morning? I don't know. But as I was thinking about it this morning, I said, well, if Kandi or anybody out there could make some underoos for men that gave a little pleasurization action, I can't really think of a man that wouldn't want those underoos. Okay? If I had a set of underoos that made me happy in the nether regions, the men folk will wear them every day. No lie. It will be a top seller. Okay? You ain't got to worry about that. Bring them on. I'm ordering 18 pair. Okay? Sitting at the office. Yes. Ow. Doing a video. Ow. Yes. Y'all wondering why I'm so happy today? I got my underoos on, baby. I'm unstoppable now. Okay? And so for me, I'm like, don't you want the joy of being able to get happy whenever you want it? Okay? Just sitting on the bus, talking to these girls, they arguing back and forth, but you don't care because guess what's going on down under? Okay? You shimmying and a shaking, they arguing and a quaking, but you enjoying yourself. I don't understand why all these people got these issues with these vibrating lingerie. I wouldn't have no problems with it. That's just me. And I don't think I know any man out there that would have a problem with it either. I think you need to hand these things out like hotcakes. Kandi, if you really want to make bedroom candy explode, you will come up with a way to do that. And then let me tell you something. You ain't got to go back to this show. You ain't got to do nothing else for the rest of your life because you will be a very rich girl. Okay? I'm just trying to tell y'all. All right? And then if they got a remote too, let me hit that remote. Boom. Ow. Yeah. Yes. And you know it don't take that long. Meanwhile, all about the comment says not 18 pairs. I think Kandi still has a candy-coated line, and it was a great way to remind the audience of it. Kandi said the gift was Todd's idea. Listen, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. And I don't understand why the ladies were so prudish about it either. Like, don't you want a little pleasure whenever you want to be able to do it? Like, I don't know. You know, it's just me. Maybe I'm the only person that just can think of a random time when I can just feel happy for no reason. Okay. I'm being honest. Okay. That's just me. Anyway, it's 5 a.m. Kandi got a Sprinter van for the ladies because everybody be late. And she said, y'all won't be late today. Okay. Kenya arrives, but she said she didn't know it was a couple's trip. And then cue the flashback. Kandi said, girl, we bringing our man. If you got a man to bring him. Okay. And so Sheree arrives and gets a very chilly reception from Drew and her husband. But she is sitting already with some receipts. Okay. Some receipts in the form of some text messages. But we'll get to those later. Okay. We'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, Kandi wants to know how everybody liked their surprise. She thought it was a fun idea. Okay. But Kenya does not have time to be running around New York City in some vibrating lingerie. She is trying to coordinate her au pair and the babysitting services for her daughter. And that she cannot be distracted from by the vibrations of the lingerie. Okay. Anyway, Kandi is taking, we learned that Kandi gonna take the gang to New Jersey to Todd's place in the hopes that they will see the condo and really hopefully they'll be on her side or whatever. And Todd hoping they'll be on his side. They arrive into the hotel 48 Lex in New York. It's food in the suite, and they all go outside on the balcony to eat. Then they talk about how Tyrone might want to use those vibrating lingeries or whatever. But I don't know why he would need to use the lingerie When I mean, I'm sure he gonna be ready to see Sheree. Forget the lingerie when you got the real person there. Does you want to add to the freak factor? Okay, but anyway, in order to get the best room, they got to tell the best SEX story. I don't, when the cutting, as much as I was just talking about these vibrating lingeries, I might would have if they made them for men like that, and they could make men happy the same way. I wouldn't necessarily be telling y'all about it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all would just notice how happy I was. But anyway, I always get annoyed when the house people on the Housewives cast, they got to start talking about how much of the SEX they have, and because as I stated last night, I do feel like I'm a naive person in the sense that if you telling me a story, I'm 9 times out of 10 gonna believe you unless you just say something real cockamamie. But for the most part, I'm gonna believe what you're saying, because why you gotta lie? But whenever they be talking about these SEX stories, I always be thinking to myself, why are y'all lying like that? Why? I mean, because it just don't, the stories don't just be sounding true. So everybody got to go around the table and tell about the wildest SEX story they done had, none of which I believe. Anyway, Sonya says they did it on a plane. Drew don't believe her. Okay. Marlo said hers was at the zoo and a giraffe licked her. Now they know she lying. Okay. Drew and Ralph said they did it in the ocean with the whales right behind them. And Sheree is in her confessional trying to figure that out. Now, when you have to be in the deep blue sea when you are around some whales, because whales are big. And it's usually not a whale that's getting close enough to the land where you could actually feel safe enough to swim and have the relations. So were y'all scuba diving and having relations? Is that what happened? Were you in some underwater cavern having the relations? No, I don't think so. But perhaps you were sitting around in some cave with the coyotes with Kenya, okay? Because that's what she said she was. And the story that she was telling sounded so distorted and disruptive and just downright dangerous that nobody believed her. And they just gave her the room and said, listen, girl, you just take this room because we're going to give this room to you for the creativity in the lie. Okay. That's how we're going to give it to you for your creativity, because honestly, nobody believes this story about you and the coyote. Okay. Nobody believes it. All right.
It was all a lie. Guys, it was all a lie. She lied.
And so anyway, as all the couples are talking and they're getting ready, to go out to dinner and go visit Todd's place, Sonya is wondering why Drew has an assistant who is being messy with her friends. Drew is in her rooms talking about Sheree was being nice to her today. So, she's feeling kind of good about that. But Sheree and Marlo are wondering why they are going to Todd's furnished condo and getting vibrating lingerie. And so they also wondered to themselves, well, I think they wonder if Todd is doing anything on the side. And it just hit me like, why are y'all wondering about what this man has going on? Marlo makes an insinuation about Todd lingering in the streets. Sheree later will make a comment about Todd lingering in the streets, but ain't no proof of this man lingering in the streets other than we know that he takes his vacations to the Miami when he wants to, but that don't mean that this man is lingering in the streets doing unsavory activities. So unless you got some type of proof of said lingering in the streets, and by lingering in the streets, I mean, laying it low and spreading it wide with somebody else that he ain't supposed to be. And even if he was, let me say this also too. You do not know what agreements a married couple has in their relationship. So while you over here wondering about whether or not this man is doing this, that, and the third, Sheree, you can't even get to your man right now. That's number one. Okay. Marlo, for what we can see, you are not even in a situation, and ain't nothing wrong with being single. Let me just say that. But I always feel like it's the people that don't be in the relationships that be talking about everybody else's relationships. You don't know what these people agree to amongst each other and in the privacy of their home and their bedroom. So why do you care? And why does it keep coming up as a plot point? Let me give you guys a little bit of advice as you guys proceed to move on. Real Housewives of Atlanta cast and future cast. Stop going after the husbands. There's plenty of material to work with the actual cast member that you got on there. But going after the husbands at this point in time, especially when it's not a direct need to, it seems lame and played out, and I'm so over it, okay? These same tropes that y'all been doing for the past 10 years, we're going to need something new and creative, because at the end of the day, we have been watching this show for so long. We know what y'all up to, and we know when it's not real, and we know when y'all just throwing something out there to be throwing something out there. So don't keep doing that. Tishby says these stories confirm they were so offended, why they were so offended by the undies. They can't even make up believable scenarios. Exactly. It's like, come on now. Come on. I don't see none of y'all giving out gift bags. Anyway, so they on their way to go see the condo. And Kandi is complaining the entire way. And let me tell you something. I have come to understand something. And we talked about it last night. Kandi's no is her no, and her yes is her yes. And at the end of the day, when that woman say no to something, she don't like it, and it ain't changing. She is very much her mother's daughter, okay? It ain't changing. So you can't change it. She don't care what y'all say. She is not feeling this place, and she is not going to like it, and she's not going to pretend to like it, okay? Then Kandi complains that Todd acts like a college kid when he goes out. And that's when Sheree says the streets be talking about Todd, and maybe she has a reason to feel so insecure. And even Sonya says, well, I'm kind of starting to see why Kandi may feel insecure. Now, see, as a response to something that Kandi says, I'm okay with Sonya saying that because she don't know. But what she is looking at is what is being said in the van only. Sheree, for me, I have a problem with it because I feel like she is pulling this out of the air unless you are going to tell us how and where you got this information from. And maybe that's the fault of the production team, because if it were me and I was sitting in the interview with Sheree, I would be asking her, well, if you're going to tell me that you feel as though the streets are talking about Todd doing this, that, and the third, I'm going to need you to back that up, okay? As Dorinda would say, I'm going to need you to back that ish up, okay? Receipts. Y'all can't just keep throwing out stuff. You know what I'm saying? And trying to see what sticks about the person's husband, okay? That ain't cool. Ain't nobody said not a bad thing about the fact that Sheree is dating somebody that was incarcerated, okay? And personally, I ain't judging it either, because at the end of the day, I feel like the man done served his time. He done what he needed to do, and that's that. And ain't nothing wrong with a little love during lockup, okay? But at the end of the day, what they could be doing to her is they could be talking about everything that he went in for, but they're not doing that. So I feel like Sheree needs to give that same level of grace to these castmates of hers. Fine, go after Kandi if you want to, because I'm sure she can take it. But then when you start adding the husband into the mix, I get it. They own the show, so they fair game to a certain degree. But again, it feels lazy to me. I'm gonna need you to come with something better than that, especially when they're not doing it to you. Meanwhile, and don't get me wrong, I like Sheree. Okay, I like Sheree. I'm glad she's back. I like the energy she's bringing. I just don't like certain things that are happening. Okay. Todd feels like he's living in Kandi's world, and she's not attentive to him, especially when she's going off and doing her own things. Kenya feels like Todd is right in that Kandi is spoiled, which I found interesting, because while I don't think that Kenya was saying that to be nasty, I think that this is one of those instances where I talked about earlier, where Kenya is just being refreshingly honest and candid about the situations as she sees them. And I don't mind it because I don't feel like this is drama for the sake of drama. I feel like this is her real reaction to what she sees from her friend. And these are the things that I watch Housewives for, because I want to see real friends interacting, but I want to see their real opinions about each other. Okay. And so I don't mind that. So Kandi believes that everything she's doing it because it helps everything that her and Todd want to do. Marlo believes that yes, Todd, the things that Todd is doing may blow up, but it's gonna be with Kandi's money. That's what she thinks. Again, I don't mind this. I don't mind her saying that because it's in direct response to a conversation that's happening, not just hearsay. Okay. It may be based a little bit on conversations that maybe Mama Joyce has expressed before, but it is based on a context for something that we've seen and heard on the show, not just some random thing from the streets. Okay. That's the distinction that I want to make. So, anyway, as they get to the place, Todd warns them to be open-minded because no one has been there for 2 years. Marlo says, yes, you should keep this. Kenya's like, hire me. I will get this place in tip-top shape. She's giving out instructions on what to do. Add an elevator here, a fireplace there. Give me an escalator over here. Add a chef here for that. Do this. Take out the whole top of the place. Okay, you got a balcony. All we need is $100,000 according to Kenya. And I'm like, now, girl, it ain't worth that much. Marlo wonders if Kandi is upset because this is something that Todd did on his own. And the ladies all agree, it doesn't feel like another woman lived there. But Kandi don't see what the purpose is for her coming to stay up in this spot in New York when she in New Jersey when she going to stay in New York. She don't see it. But Marlo suggests, well, girl, just add a little dungeon feel to it. Give it some red lights, and maybe this could be y'all little home away from home dungeon. You know? Todd says it's another piece to add to the portfolio, but Kandi still ain't feeling it. So they head to dinner. Okay. Somehow Drew ends up seated beside Sheree, which is interesting. And Sonya asks, why isn't Kandi wearing her wedding ring? She says she just doesn't always wear it. And so I want to know from you guys in the chat, do you agree that as a married person, that your spouse, even if you are not married, you can still answer this question. Does your spouse have to wear their ring? Just let me know. I want to know that for my own purposes. I don't really have a thought about it. Other than the rings can be pretty expensive. So in my mind, I'm like, you better wear that thing. But outside of that, I don't really have a problem with taking it off. Like, I just want to know, okay. Yeah, I mean, so people have different thoughts about it. It's up to each couple. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I don't know. I really don't know. um, I don't know. I don't know. I think that there is a case for wearing it, and I think there's a case for not having to wear it, right? I feel like if you trust your spouse, I mean, it's fine. But I think if you don't trust your spouse, then you probably would prefer that they wear it. But I think as we've seen, even people when they wear it, they can act somewhat inappropriately. So I guess it really doesn't matter. Drew says that she has some issues wearing hers. So when she was pregnant, and then now they're having some issues in their marriage, so she stopped wearing it. In my mind, you still married. Taking off your ring only means to me, like if you taking it off because we got an issue, I don't like that. I don't like that because to me, that just tells me that you checking out in some way, shape, or form, or it's like a threat to check out. So, you know, no. I mean, don't be taking your ring off because you mad at me. Like that's some petty stuff right there. I started to curse. Singing Kim's song, "The Ring Don't Mean a Thing." People still gonna do what they do. I mean, that's true. Anyway, she lets them know about the counseling session, and Kandi's like, well, y'all gonna have to keep repeating this activity because that's the stuff with y'all ain't gonna ever stop. Ralph says he fired the assistant, but Drew is still upset. Ralph wants to know how they get over it, and Kenya says with time and reassuring behavior. Kandi says that the whole situation looks crazy, and Ralph says, well, things can look crazy sometimes, but not be crazy. But honestly, when something looks crazy, it usually is. And Kenya says Ralph reminds her so much of Mark that it's crazy, and she doesn't want Ralph says it wasn't like I said, let me go get an assistant with a big butt. Marlo said, did you get her from Magic City? Kandi said it would make it worse to have a woman around when y'all were already having issues like that. And Kenya says basically that Ralph is an a-hole and that she's seen the way he speaks to her, and it reminds her of times when Mark would speak to her like that. And that's when we get this edit right here, baby. And we get a flashback of all the times that Mark mistreated Kenya on this show. And she is not here for the way that she sees Ralph treating Drew. And I don't like it either. So Ralph says, well, you see things one way and I see things another. And Kenya goes off on him and basically tells him that he's tearing Drew down. And then he's laughing, but Kenya is not having it. She's like, wait, what you laughing for? Don't do that to me. But so Marlo chimes in to Drew and says, girl, I blame you because he only does what you let him do. And so then we get into a discussion that Drew might not be so innocent either because she can't let things go. And Drew says, well, I'm not the type that starts some stuff, but I'm sure gonna finish it. And Sheree's like, you ain't finished yet, okay? And so they let her know that, and Drew's like, well, when have I not let something go? And Kenya's like, with the whole Sheree situation, you won't let that whole thing go. And so they get into this debate about, the Drew and Sheree thing. And Kandi points out, she says, you do realize it's your assistant that where all of this originated from, allegedly. So why aren't you handling things with him? And then Sheree pulls up the photo that apparently Anthony allegedly sent to her and basically says, that Anthony told her that he has more scoop on Ralph and Dennis. And then Sheree tells Ralph that Anthony said that he was the gay. Okay. That was, I'm assuming, Ralph's first time hearing that the assistant has said that he was the gay. Now, I don't know about any of you at this moment in time, but what would have happened in real life is that we would have been on the FaceTime with Anthony in that very moment asking who is lying here, okay? Did you tell Sheree that? Because I need to know. Because you've been in our house and I need to know if you telling this woman this or is she making this up, okay? Is this your number right here that she texting from? You're going to have to pull a Monique with that binder. Is that his number? Okay. Is this your number? Okay, and we can actually confirm that by just looking in Drew's phone. Okay. Oh, the phone number matched what you got, Sheree? Okay, so he texting from the same phone. He did send this message. Okay, so now we got a problem. And at that point, Ralph can actually Drew need to handle it because he seemed like Drew's assistant, but also Ralph could also handle that as well because now you're talking man to man. Okay. Now you're talking man to man. I keep trying to tell y'all, but y'all just don't. Folks just don't get it.
I told her this right here. She said, don't bitches that cannot buy shoes that comes in a box.
Okay. Learn something from this. JD says, despite his many flaws, I don't like how Sheree brought up that man's sexuality at the table in front of everybody. True or not, it was tacky AF. I agree. I totally agree with you on that. Okay. Totally agree. Not to mention, I think it's a reach. Okay, y'all. So listen. that was the review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know I love y'all. We have these family discussions. Anything I say, please don't take it personally. I'm just having fun. We are just recapping a show that we love, and we hope that the show continues, and we can't wait till next week. So with that being said, y'all know I love y'all, and I will catch you guys in the next. Oh, speaking of which, CMOS, I'm still running that 40% off sale. Just use that code Wanda, okay? Just go on ahead and use that code Wanda, because if you ain't learned nothing else, you done learned this.
I told her this right here. She don't bitches that cannot buy shoes that comes in a box.